6A, the Lake Pepin Legacy Alliance presentation.
All right, thank you for having me. I'm Rylee Main. I'm the Executive Director of Lake Pepin Legacy Alliance, and I've spoken to many of you on the council before. I'm just going to pull up this map here to give you some reference. So probably about a year and a half ago, I came to the council and asked for a letter of resolution supporting a restoration project at the head of Lake Pepin. And the council went forward and passed a letter of resolution supporting the feasibility study for this project. So I wanted to provide you an update on where we are now since that resolution was passed and some of the questions that need to be answered going forward and some of the support that we've gotten on this thus far. So as of December of 2015, the Corps of Engineers accepted our project proposal to do the feasibility study, and then in June of 2016, we actually got the federal interest determination. So they went through the ranks and said, yes, we are interested in studying this area. So that was a huge step forward for us because through the program that we're working with, it's their beneficial use of dredge material program. The feasibility study is 100% federally funded, which means we can move forward with getting a lot of information about what's possible at the head of the lake without putting any dollars up front, so that's great for us. And then really we had to wait until we had some support from the Wisconsin DNR before actually moving forward with this study. So the map that I have here is the concept plan that's been put together by the Wisconsin DNR. Essentially all the features that they've included are on Wisconsin land, and that's part of the reason that they've put this concept together. It includes the dark blue is dredging in the backwaters. The green is island extensions to help protect some of those backwater areas so that you don't have flow coming through there and refilling them with sediment as they're dredged. It'll also help create clearer water and reduce resuspension of sediments that creates the cloudy water, and that allows then for vegetation to grow. There's a channel, it's a little hard to see, but it's a lighter blue color that is an access channel to the Bay City Harbor. And then there's some basically floodplain forest restoration and enhancement and what they call moist soil unit and isolated wetlands. So those are some of the features that are included on this map. And because Wisconsin owns a majority of the land, we need their support moving forward with this, whether as a sponsor on the project officially or at least as the permitting agency for this project. So they've had to go through a number of steps through their own bureaucracy to figure out, is this something we can support? And as of March this year, they did submit a letter, which I believe is included in your packet, stating their support for the project and what conditions they would like to see met. And so these are their initial objectives for the area, and that's what they would like to see in a project. The other piece for them to be an official sponsor on this project would be public support. So they really want the public to be on board to see this happen. Some of the initial concepts that we were looking at before this plan came out was some island construction more in the open waters of Lake Pepin. And we have our feasibility kickoff meeting on June 5th, and so that's where we're going to be getting together and discussing how do we look at the scope of this project. And the consensus really between the Wisconsin DNR, the Corps of Engineers, Lake Pepin Legacy Alliance, and then our partner on this project is Audubon, Minnesota, is that we want to keep the scope pretty broad in the beginning to look at what is possible. Are islands in the open water actually possible? Or are there going to be issues that prevent us from moving forward with that? So this just kind of gives you an example of what areas could be included, but we're also, again, looking at a little further out in the open water of Lake Pepin. And ultimately, the feasibility study will determine what's going to be included as we move forward with the next steps of this. So some initial things that we'll be looking at are contaminants. That'll be probably one of the first things that we look at to see are the contaminant levels too high to do anything, or will they increase the cost of the project significantly? And so it's really hard to tell what the final cost of this project would be, but we've estimated it to be around $10 million. and the non-federal sponsor is responsible for 35% of that. So currently, Lake Pepin Legacy Alliance is the non-federal sponsor, which means we'd have to raise about $3.5 million. We're hoping that ultimately the Wisconsin DNR will take over the sponsorship, but we would still be a partner in fundraising. We can also do a phased approach to this project where if we're able to raise about $1 million by the time the feasibility study is completed, we can start phasing the project out. So that's really our goal over the next year, is to try and raise quite a bit of money. And then we've also gotten a lot of support from the communities around the lake, Lake City, Wabasha, Bay City, Maiden Rock, Village and Township of Stockholm, and then Pierce and Pepin County have all signed letters of support for this project. And then I think also included in your packet is that we got a letter of support from Representative Jason Lewis on the Minnesota side, and we are waiting for a letter of support that we think will be coming soon from Representative Ron Kind on the Wisconsin side. So having both support on Wisconsin and Minnesota side at the federal level has been really helpful to help move things along with the Corps of Engineers, and I know they've been in regular contact asking questions and seeing how this is moving along. So where we are now is that we have this feasibility study, the kickoff meeting on June 5th, and then we are expecting that there will be a public meeting in July to help inform everyone on where we are in the process. And I've been in touch with Bob Stark about where we are all along, and he's interested in participating in some of those meetings to help with kind of the technical advice on how this would affect Red Wing and the community. And then really from there, we just continue to need that political movement. The more support that we can get from the communities and the more engagement that we can get from the communities to ensure that our politicians are supporting this project and helping to move it along, in addition to having that public engagement and support, but also for fundraising purposes, is going to be really helpful. So one of the questions that we have, really for each city and village right now and the counties are there things that you can do to help support this moving forward? Again, quite a bit of money that we need to raise, and then there will be questions going forward for the public. One big question that needs to be answered is the movement of sediment from the lower end of Lake Pepin up to the head of Lake Pepin to construct the islands. So the material needs to be sandy material, and most of that's coming from the lower end of the lake where the Chippewa comes into Lake Pepin. We've got a lot of material and don't really have placement sites for it. They're running out. So they would move, that's where it's beneficial for the Corps, so the beneficial use of dredge material, to take some of that material, move it up to the head of the lake, and use it for a beneficial purpose, which would be constructing islands. I know it sounds a little kind of counterintuitive that Lake Pepin is filling in with sediment, and we're talking about moving some sediment to the head of the lake. But when you look at the quantity that settles in at the head of the lake every year, which is about 1 million metric tons, compared to what we would be moving from the lower end of the lake to the head of the lake to build this project, it's really a minimal amount compared to what's coming in every year. And so from our standpoint, do we continue to let the lake degrade over time without doing anything, or do we move some material to help maintain quality, water quality, and habitat as we move forward? And then one of our objectives is also to try and promote recreational access to the head of the lake and really allow the continued use of allow the uses that have been ongoing in the past to continue to be there. So that's fishing, boating, and as you can see with the dredge channel to Bay City, that's one feature that has been included in here. And unfortunately, with the program, there has to be a primary habitat purpose in order to construct those features. They can't be constructed just for recreational benefit. But if we can say, well, we improve recreation, but there's also this clear habitat benefit, then we can try and align those things and tweak the plans a bit so that they provide both benefits. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about this project. If you'd like to get in touch with me directly, my contact information is on our website, which is lakepepinlegacyalliance.org. And then Bob Stark also has my contact information, and he could either answer questions or direct them to me, and I could get in touch with you. So happy to answer any questions right away. Otherwise, thank you.